Hello, YYC. It is fall time here in Calgary in our beautiful city. It's an exciting time. The kids are going back to school. It's pumpkin spice latte time. All right, the trees are losing their leaves. Winter's slowly coming. It's going to get cold. I know your skis are ready and I know you're changing those tires on your vehicle, but what about your home? We want to get it ready for winter as well. So this week we're going to talk about your fall maintenance package on your home. All right, guys. With me today is a very good, trusted inspector of mine, a friend of mine. His name is John Woodlock with J Squared Inspections. I'd like for you to meet him today. Thanks for coming out, John.
Thanks, Vince.
John's going to spend a little bit of time with us talking about more of the forgotten things that we tend to forget about when we're doing our fall inspection. We all know to put the downspouts down. We all know to take the leaves out of our gutters. John's going to focus on more the finer details that could affect our home. So why don't we get right into it today, and we'll talk about the air conditioning unit.
Awesome. Thanks, Vince. So this time of year, the air conditioner really doesn't have much of a functional purpose. It's too cold at night for the morning charge of this to be activated for any kind of heat we get during the day. So this is the time of year we want to turn it off. It's an important and expensive component in the home. So winterizing, it's pretty key to preserve the mechanical components within it and to make sure we don't do any accidental damage by it activating on one of those warm Chinook days we get in Calgary. So one of the first things we're going to do is just do a quick inspection, make sure that it's clean and there's no debris or any kind of insects or like wasp nests or anything like that. Want to make sure everything's clear of debris. Have a quick look on the inside. At this point, we would take the winter cover and put it over top and secure it. And they've got Velcro. They can be tied down at the base so they don't blow away. That's going to keep the snow, melting snow, sleet, even pounding rain or hail away from doing damage to. It's hard to see from the camera, but there's very soft components inside there that if they're damaged, it affects the performance and the efficiency of the unit. So the cover is probably one of two very important things to consider when you're shutting it down for the winter. The second component is deactivating it. We want to disengage the power. And there's in most homes there's two ways to do that if it's installed appropriately. One is at a remote disconnect that's on the exterior of the home, which is in close proximity to the unit, and we do have it out of the camera view at the back. We'll get a shot of that after. And also, if that's not the first place you want to do it, you can do it at the main breaker panel or the main service panel within the home as well. So either will achieve the same goal. The nice thing about disconnecting it out here is you can actually pull the breaker, you can lock the sub panel, and no one can accidentally turn that breaker on in the middle of winter. So those are the two probably most important things to take care of this component for the winter time.
Okay.
And we really don't want to energize this at all until it's been at least plus 15 Celsius consistently during the daytime. And we don't want to turn it on if there's been a power out for a couple of days, just for things to warm up, at least 24 hours to preserve it. So really out here is the best option for shutting the power off.
Awesome. There we go.
So this is what I was talking about before. This is the remote sub panel that services the air conditioning unit. It's really easy to open. This is where you can put your lock if you want to lock it off. Just give it a little lift, slide it open, and it's a very simple function. We've got, we can read on and off is upside down. All we do is pull it out and we've now disconnected the power. These are the tabs that connect the circuit. If we turn it over, there's no tabs on the bottom side. So we put it in and it just sits in here loose. So we know the power has been interrupted. This unit will not turn on. Close it back up, put our lock on, and we're good for the winter.
Perfect. All right, we're back. John, sprinklers, hose bibs, very important. Water freezes, expands, causes big depth problems. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Vince. So both of these components, like Vince says, they have water running through pipes. One of them is an exterior application. That's the exterior automatic sprinkler system. And that's a series of piping through your yard that is charged with water when it's active. Obviously, it's exterior. This time of year, it's going to be colder. Usually Thanksgiving is the time when I recommend to people it's time to shut down the exterior sprinkler system. Really what that entails is you can do a couple of things as a homeowner, but you do have to involve a professional unless you have the appropriate equipment to discharge the lines. The first thing you want to do is from the interior, turn off your water supply. So the inside your utility area, just above your main shutoff for your plumbing service, there'll be a shutoff for your irrigation system. Then you can come outside. There's another shutoff on the exterior. You can turn this one off for now. And if you want to, you can open this guy up. Now we're going to have flow there. And that tells me that we haven't shut off the inside yet. So if the valve was in one position, we need to move it to the other position on the interior to make sure we've got it shut off. At that point, we want to call a landscaping service or an irrigation company because most home compressors just don't have the right amount of pressure to adequately clear the lines and get all the sprinklers cleared of water. If we don't get the water out, we're going to have freezing, we're going to have expansion, and we're going to have damage. And when you turn your system on in the spring, you're not even going to see the leaking. You're going to get ground erosion and sinkholes in your yard, and it's going to be a real problem for you. So that's you need to get someone in to help you with that. The good news is for exterior faucets, that's a homeowner, easy to do on your own without any sort of special skill or knowledge. Sort of same system applies. We want to go inside, turn off the shut off on the interior to take the pressure off of the exterior faucets. And sometimes there's more than one shut off depending on the age or the generation of your home. Mm-hmm. So knowing where those are is important. Not all homes are the same, but we want to turn those off. Then we're going to come outside. We're going to open the faucet, leave it to drain, and we're going to leave it open. And that's as easy as it is for the exterior faucets. We want to leave them open all winter.
Now, I have a good question for you. For exterior faucets, there's a new type of exterior faucets, the frost free. Frost free. And I've actually had people say, I don't need to drain them because I'm going to put my trust in the frost free bib. What are your feelings on that?
And that's fair. I mean, frost free are in essence designed to defeat the thermal bridging from that exterior component to the interior supply connection. And it, all things being true and all normal winters being what they are, that's probably a safe rule of thumb. But moisture is what hurts our houses. Water damage is really expensive and it does a horrific amount of damage to a finished basement. So for the extra time it takes to shut off that system, open it up, to be over diligent about it, that's the best course to take. Frost free are for homeowners who forget to turn them off, don't feel they need to turn them off, or just don't turn them off. But really the best case scenario is shutting off the supply, leaving them open to drain. One of the most common things I see doing my inspections is the frost-free hose bib in place, the hose connected to it, and a great big mountain of ice below it. Because what happens is you have freezing of the hose, which backs up the faucet. Frost-free is no longer an issue because it holds water in there. It doesn't drain off, and you freeze, damage the pipe, and everything starts to run outside, and you end up with a big ice bath outside.
So at the end of the day, just bleed.
Shut them off.
Shut them off.
Shut them off. Bleed them out.
I'm probably joking, but I'm serious. All right, so next we want to talk about exterior penetrations and also any kind of exhaust. So, we just did a walk around the house to check for some exterior penetrations, and of course, John managed to find one.
Thanks, Vince. So we have two sort of areas of discussion for the winter months here. The first is the actual penetrations themselves, which are the pipes that protrude either through the foundation or through the wall cladding. Anything that goes from the outside to the inside of the home needs to be sealed with some sort of exterior rated sealant, like a silicone or something similar to that. Fortunately, both of these penetrations haven't been sealed, so that's one of the things that we're going to have to look at doing prior to the wet season or the winter season, is applying some sealant around the penetrations to keep moisture out, in some cases insects, or in other cases vermin or rodents. So the penetrations here need attention. The other consideration out here, this is for a high efficiency natural gas combustion appliance, likely the furnace. And what it does is we have an intake here that brings in combustion air to the appliance, and this is the exhaust termination. It looks like a bit of a gooseneck, and it's designed that way on purpose. But what happens is in the wintertime, a byproduct of the combustion of natural gas is moisture. And this type of furnace, it has a condensing drain inside the home, but some of the condensates make it to the exterior of the home, and we end up with an icicle forming below this termination. With this type of appliance, because it burns natural gas, if this is partially or fully blocked, the appliance does a a pressure test for exhausting when it starts up. And prior to combustion or prior to becoming active, it tests to see if it can actually get the exhaust gases to the exterior. If it cannot, because it's partially or fully blocked, the appliance won't turn on. So in this case, the furnace will not turn on if this is blocked with ice or snow. So even though we're talking about preparing for winter, as we move forward through winter, we want to make sure that any sort of high efficiency appliance that has a plastic termination vent is monitored for ice buildup and kept clear and free of any debris for proper operation.
Okay. Now, one thing I get a lot, because you see this a lot on any new renovation or new home. Clients are, they're picking up brown stucco and brown windows or black or gray or whatever, and then you've got this ugly white, oftentimes purple. You can see the purple, that's the glue that holds it together. Some people get creative and they try to alter this so it blends in, and I tell them not to.
Yeah, this should. They're designed, located where they are for a reason. There's manufacturer specifications for the ability for them to, one, bring air in and also to properly exhaust. We don't want to build any kind of lattice or screening around this unless it's approved by the manufacturer. They do have defined clearances for this point to the space around it, so we don't want to conceal it. If you wanted to try and color it, there's maybe some paint you can apply that would be appropriate, but we don't want to block any of the flow.
Okay. Now, while we're here, up over your shoulder, we have an intake with a screen.
Absolutely. So this is a fresh air intake for the home. Um, would be, in this case, because we have the high efficiency upgrade or high efficiency appliance, this is for supply air. So that's the conditioned air within the home. With these types of intakes, they're bringing air from the outside in, and with that comes pollens, dust, any sort of light debris, feathers from birds I see in there quite a bit, just basic air sediment, and this area can become blocked. Now, for air quality and for health of the people in the home, any allergies, this needs to be checked, I say seasonally, but at least 3 or 4 times a year to make sure that the screens are fully clear and we have good airflow. Visually, we see that air can make its way inside.
And the homeowner is obviously doing a good job keeping that clear right there.
Absolutely.
We're good? All right, so now we're going to talk about downspouts and weeping tile leading to somewhere. It's going into the ground, and we need to...
So this is what we want to see, actually. The homeowner here has already got ready for the fall. Typically what we'll see is the downspout, which is coming from the roof, and this side goes into the sweeping tile. So it'll be draining into there, often to the storm drain, sometimes to a sump pit. It sort of depends on each specific house, but it goes underground and away from the home, which is great in the summertime. In the wintertime, the downside of having any of the snow melt coming through the downspout into the weeping tile, that it goes again underground. And if we think about the ground temperature, the water that's in the weeping tile is going to be frozen, and we're bringing water down into the ice, it's just going to back up. And eventually we're going to have a big ice stack all the way up as high as we can get to the roof. So this is the correct sort of assembly. We want to remove the downspout from the weeping tile, put on our downspout extensions. With the exception of one last thing, this homeowner did a pretty good job, but we want to be able to direct the water flow downhill and away from the house.
Pretty simple. All right, here we are in front of a sump barrel. Most new homes, all new homes, have sump barrels by code. This is an older home that happens to have an active spring under it, so it does have a sump barrel.
So the sump barrel is important. Any home needs to have one, for consideration, because today's conditions of the water tables may not be tomorrow's conditions. So having one is a bonus, whether it's active or inactive. The more active it is, obviously the more water table you have, or a higher water table. But really what they do is they remove water from the sub slab or from around the foundation out and away from the home. So in this case, we've got the sump termination or discharge termination point coming out of the home, which is right here, connects into some standard plumbing tube and goes over and discharges onto the grass. So that's a great application for this time of year. But as we move into winter, we have to think about a couple of things. We've got a pipe here. The drainage may allow for water to be left inside it, which is going to ice up. So what the recommendation is for the winter time, or getting ready for winter, is that the sump discharge be as close to the house as possible and just discharge onto surface in a direction away from the home. We don't really want to have a hose or any piping that goes out through the colder area because it could freeze up. So we're just about ready. We just have to disconnect the gear clamp, then we're ready for the winter.
All right, John, thanks for coming out today.
My pleasure, Vince. Thank you.
I think um, fall maintenance is a very, very important thing. Obviously, it's the exterior of our home. If water starts coming in, we've got problems, right? So the more preventative action we take, the longer our house lasts, the less maintenance costs we have, right?
Absolutely.
You and I just recently did a home inspection on my personal house. I had been living in it for 5 years, and I was just curious. So I had John come out, and you used your FLIR gun.
That's a thermal imaging camera. It's manufactured by FLIR.
Yeah. So one of my main concerns, was identifying any condensation that might be coming from the attic, right? So we did a quick FLIR test. We checked out uh, the entire ceiling line. We found a few spots that had some insulation that may have shifted, blown insulation, and we found a bath fan that was the connection was loose, right?
Correct.
So even though you're not moving into a house, we do advise that every once in a while you call John, right? You call John, you get a home inspection on your house. You might find something that might cost you a few $100s to fix now, but if you don't fix it, it might cost you thousands in the long run. So check out John's website. It's j2inspections.com.
That's
So
right.
that's j2inspections.com.
Absolutely.
Right? We'll put a link below. All right. So you click on that link, and on that website they'll find some home maintenance.
Yeah, there's a way to get in touch with me directly, and also a whole page with maintenance recommendations, tips for everything you can think of for your house. That's through our association. It's a ton of information. It's free to you. Noodle through it, have a look, and let me know if you have any questions.
Perfect. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.